Matt LaFleur made it clear the wins and losses don't fall solely on Jordan Love's shoulders.
I mean, that's what ultimately what it's all about, is just winning football games, and it's not all on him. It's collectively, it's everybody. It's all 11 that are out there. It's the entire team. It's our coaches, trainers, everybody's involved in this thing and helping us put the best product out there. But a lot of times the quarterback's going to get judged on the wins and losses.
That's the blessing and the curse of being a quarterback in the NFL. RC, how does Jordan Love take that next step?
Jordan Love has to show up in the biggest moments. Think back 2 years ago, Laura, when they made that stretch run to the divisional round of the playoffs, almost beating the San Francisco 49ers. Jordan Love was one of the best quarterbacks in all of football. This team shifted last year to be more Josh Jacobs centric, but they lost games to the Minnesota Vikings, games to the Detroit Lions, 4 actually within their own division, and then they went up to Philadelphia in the playoffs, and he was outplayed by Saquon Barkley, that offense, and Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. If Jordan Love wants to take that next step, it's going to be about consistency in the biggest games and the biggest moments.
Yeah. I was actually just talking about this a little bit in a different video, completely unrelated to the Packers, and I used Jordan Love as an example, and I think it bears, it's worth repeating. Jordan Love's peak that we've been able to see, like how special and how great he can play, the type of plays that he can make, the type of throws that he can make, are just through the roof. I mean, there's just not a single throw on the football field that he can't make. It's pretty extraordinary. But what he really needs to do, and I think Matt LaFleur is a big part of this as well, is find a higher degree of stability, consistency, and management within the game. And I actually think against the Eagles in the playoffs is really a perfect example of that. That was an ugly game, not a super high quality game in the traditional sense from both offenses. Jalen Hurts threw for like 130 yards, whatever the final number was, and et cetera, et cetera. And it wasn't like a big run game from Saquon or anything like that. It was going to be that eventually near the end when especially once the Packers kind of started to really fall apart from an injury standpoint. But the difference was that Jalen Hurts managed that game. There was not a lot of plays to be made necessarily. There was not a lot of big, exciting plays to be made, but he minimized mistakes, and just made the correct throws at the correct time and wasn't trying to do anything beyond that. And ultimately that led to a win, right? It was very strategic, very situational, very smart, the definition of winning football. And you could 100% make the argument that if Jordan Love played that style of ball, they could have won that game, even though they were so banged up and they were so messy and they dealt with their own turnovers and whatnot. But Jordan Love added to that. He made a couple questionable throws, and it was like it was unnecessary at that time. It was just like, by definition, trying to swing for the fences, trying to just do everything bigger than it needed to be, which is why I throw in Matt LaFleur. And I kept talking about this, them and the Steelers. It was just, everything just kept feeling boom or bust. It was either just going to be like, I'm going to throw a 155-yard touchdown. I'm going to be the first quarterback ever to throw a 155-yard touchdown, or we're just going to hand the ball off. And it just felt so big. And that's why I also always refer to the game, I think it was Thanksgiving, against the Miami Dolphins, because to me, that was like the most complete game. You had the moments when you were doing some pretty exciting stuff, but then you also just played smart, what I always refer to as small ball. Like you just did all the little things. And you weren't so reliant on the big, exciting plays. And you got to be able to do everything. You got to be able to manage the game, and you got to be able to understand the type of game that you're in. You got to understand that. And Matt LaFleur needs to understand that as well. And that's why it's so perfect. I really encourage you guys to go back and watch that Eagles game. that Eagles Packers playoff game. And you can even hear Tom Brady talk about, because at one point the Eagles fans were booing because it was like third and something. I don't know if it was long, but whatever it was, and they were kind of in their own territory, the Eagles. And I think they just handed the ball off or did like a very, short, quick, easy pass, and the fans started booing. And Tom Brady's like, no, like, I understand why the fans are booing, but like, this is smart. This is smart situational ball. They have the lead. Their defense is playing well. The Packers aren't playing particularly great. There's no reason to do anything more beyond this right now. Like, just be smart. And there wasn't enough times that I'm watching the Packers and Jordan Love, for that matter, where I'm just like, this is smart football. This is smart. I've watched them plenty of times where I'm just like, whoa, that was awesome. That was great. Wow, did you see that throw? How did he make that throw? But there was not enough games where I was just like, that's smart. That is smart ball. Like, that's the next step that I really need to see Jordan Love take. And I need to see it with Matt LaFleur. To me, when you start to play that kind of ball, it goes hand in hand with your coach, with either your OC or your offensive head coach. And I believe in Matt LaFleur. I believe in him. But I need to see that next step. I really do. I was expecting to be able to see that. I'm not expecting him to continue to see him just, play big in the big moments. That's actually not what I'm waiting to see him do. Honestly, I'm really not. That's not the next step for me. There's some players and some teams, right? Like Dak Prescott. I need to see him play big in the big moments. Yes, we've been waiting for many years for him to do that. Not so sure it's going to come. That's not what I'm waiting for Jordan Love. That's really not. I want to see him just operate an offense in a nice, clear, concise, simple, straightforward, just high IQ, high level. It's like I just very straightforward, just very boring football, boring winning football. Which is why you got to go back and actually watch it, especially if you're looking at it through the Eagles lens, and you go back and watch Jalen Hurts play the game. You can see, because people are like, oh my God, they only threw so many times or this or that, and he only threw and it was like, because the Packers did a great job of shutting down the offense, taking away all the receivers. And so he was smart. He wasn't forcing throws. He was throwing when the guy was there. He hit him when he needed to. He used his legs when he needed to. It was very smart. It was very situational. He took care of the ball. He managed the game. A game manager. I know. Such a terrible thing. And it directly led to a win. And that very same playoffs, run, we saw other quarterbacks' inability to manage that game, or manage a game that was kind of, not exactly how they had it dialed up. Whether it was Justin Herbert and the Chargers, CJ Stroud and the Texans, Jordan Love and the Packers. Like, you can point Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Like, we can point to concrete moments where they're just like, if you just manage this a little bit better, if you just kind of just played elementary football 101, you could come away with the win here. But instead, you tried to do too much. You tried to be bigger than you needed to be. And again, it directly led to a loss. And again, we can make all the excuses we want for the Green Bay Packers. And I've already done that in previous videos about the injuries, and not only injuries to the team, but then also to Jordan Love himself throughout the season. Like, that's all fine. But that still doesn't excuse some of this other stuff. Because that's my point. They could have played significantly better, even if it wasn't for all those injuries that they kind of dealt with. It was like, what was it, like the O-line, some receivers, like things definitely started to get messy, but it still doesn't excuse some of the poor play that needed to not happen in that moment, no matter who is on the field with you. So I always try to look beyond that. I always try to look at it from all those lenses, but try to look beyond just the basic, easy explanation of like, oh, well, they were banged up in this or that. It's like, yeah, that's definitely part of it, but like, same thing with the Detroit Lions. Yeah, their defense was decimated. Definitely hurt them. Jared Goff also needs to play better. Ben Johnson needed to call a better game against the Commanders. Like, multiple things can be true. And I'd rather talk about the things that are more actionable rather than just like, well, we just need to get healthier. It's like, yeah, again, that's true too. But like, doesn't mean that there's still not more work to be done, especially if you're trying to elevate, especially if you're trying to, claim the throne of being like a truly top elite quarterback. So it's so interesting. It's like, I'm not even looking for fireworks next season. Like, I made the argument last season that I thought Jordan Love and CJ Stroud were going to be the front runners for MVPs, mainly because I thought they were both going to have great years, and also that they're young, and so they're going to be dynamic, exciting, and everyone's going to want them to be the MVP. It's going to be easier to kind of get the momentum and the energy behind that. That obviously didn't happen for either of those quarterbacks. But it's like, I'm not even looking for Jordan Love to be an MVP level player, because you do need like a lot of exciting dynamic plays. Like, I'm not even looking for that. I'm actually looking for him to be able to play like Jalen Hurts did. Like, that's honestly what I'm more or less looking for Jordan Love to be able to do. I want to see him be able to play simple football, hit the layups. I already know that he can hit a home run, bases loaded. I already know that. I know he can do that. I've seen it, and it's awesome, and it's exciting. I want to see him on a more regular basis just take the layups, to just play basic simple. And I want to see Matt LaFleur design games around that as well. I want to see it. I don't want it to just be this constant boom or bust. So that's what I'm personally looking for. That's gonna be my constant Green Bay Packers take, honestly, because it's just, and again, Kurt Warner, highlighted way better than I could that, part of Jordan Love's game is that aggression, is that constant attacking, because it's constantly putting the defense like on their back foot. Like, they're constantly like, oh gosh, this guy's, coming for our throat. And I get that. And that's obviously, one of Jordan Love's superpowers for sure, and what helps make him his own brand of special. But at this point, I would just like to see it a little bit more balanced, and that I would like to not rely on that. Josh Allen's superpower is to be able to barrel through people, and Lamar Jackson's superpower is he's able to just outrun everyone. Doesn't mean that should be the foundation of your game in and game out. So I am curious to see how Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and this Packers offense as a whole evolves. So it's kind of definitely like a wait and see situation at this point. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Green Bay Packers? And Matt LaFleur talking about that it doesn't all come down to Jordan Love, which, pretty obvious. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.